Hi, this is Diora Baird, and you're listening to the Don't Go Out There Horror Podcast.
In a world where zombies, ghosts, serial killers, and vampires all exist, it's Nico, Brian, Mike, and Dustin, and they are all that stand between you and the films that could end the world. Welcome to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast. Just want to thank all of our fans and listeners. Really appreciate the support. You guys are awesome. Before we get into tonight's film review, just want to give a quick shout out to our website, don'tgoouthere.com. Everything about our podcast is on the website. All of our episodes and interviews, if you want to check those out. We've done some incredible interviews in the past. Go check them out there in a specific tab by themselves so you don't have to scroll through hundreds of episodes on Apple or Spotify, etc. We also have our store if you want to grab a shirt, a mouse pad, a hat, all that good stuff. We'd love to see your pictures, rep your favorite podcast. And Shan's Etsy page is also attached if you want to grab a tumbler. All of our social media links are on there as well. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Like us, subscribe us, follow us, all that good stuff. And the last thing I want to shout out on our website is our Patreon. We call it Blood Donors. We have the traditional monthly reoccurring kind. If you want to support us, help us pay the bills, as we say. Or if there's a movie you want us to review, that option is available as well. Just check out our website, don'tgoouthere.com. Also, if you haven't noticed, we've recently joined the Believe Network. So there's some ads on our program now. But if you want ad-free content, go check us out on Blood Donors. The ad-free episodes will be available there. We appreciate your support. We hope you enjoy the episode. All right, guys, over to the film review. We're continuing on with Horror Comedy Month, Dustin's theme. This week is my choice. I took us back to mine and Dustin's favorite logo, A24. Yeah. Bodies from 2022. I'm just joking. I got to be honest with this movie. This is one that I avoided purposefully just because I was jealous of Pete Davidson's historic run of Beautiful Women. And the movie just kind of looked obnoxious, to be honest. Just from the trailer, it's like, oh, my God, really? The movie looks like a bunch of college kids from Twitter just hanging out. It looked horrible, but it was on Netflix. Gave it a shot, and by the end of the movie, I was pleasantly surprised. This is one of those movies to me that just gets better and better with each watch. I laughed my ass off so much throughout the movie. I think it's a beautiful satire on a lot of different topics. I think this movie is great. I love it. No shame in my game. Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a lot here since I'm doing scene by scene, so bear with me. But I like this. I think this does a good job of flying under the radar. I think it's a good, what's the word? I don't know. Statement, I guess, on teen youth of, in some ways, any generation, but particularly, I think, this one. Even though all the actors are in their late 20s or, in Pete Davidson's case, 30s. But that's kind of always been the case with teen movies, right? I mean, like if you get real teenagers to play their own age, it almost at this point looks weird. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But I think it goes into that satire space in some parts to an extent for sure. And look, I think I heard Dustin say last week that he didn't like the ending. But to me, I love the ending. Like, to me, it speaks to where we are right now as a society, where this accident, quote unquote, can spiral into this almost landslide of events that could have been avoided had it not been for overreaction and something I learned in my CPM classes, group think. Over and over, they reiterate the importance to them of social media, clout, and appearances above all else. And it really just mixes a whodunit with its own spin and a group of really entitled jackasses who live in their own little bubble, save for B. And I loved it.
No, I think the movie is a lot of fun. The first time I saw it, I didn't hate it, but I wasn't in love with it. And then I've watched it twice since, and I'm a really big fan, man. They do a really good job. The script is fun. There's some great comedy in here. I know we all, want to hate on Pete for his run of Beautiful Woman, but he's fucking funny multiple times in this film.
He's really good.
Up, just really good shit in the movie. Brian and Nico both mentioned the commentary that this movie gives on the generation that it's talking about. And I think a movie hadn't quite captured that or done it yet up to this point because it's so new. It's happening in real time. And I think this movie does that well. All the things Brian mentioned, plus the mob mentality, which we've talked about too much on this show because evil dies tonight. But this does such a better job of that, like how one thing can kind of spread, and then because somebody said it, they may have a high opinion of this person. Now it must be true, right? And I think that spreads throughout the group. Also, this is every generation. These people are definitely high school friends that go off and do other things and come back and they reconnect, or that's the way I took it. And this goes to show you how faulty sometimes those friends groups can be, man. I'm still friends with a lot of my high school people, or like old friends, hometown friends or whatever. Like, I'm still friends with all those people. Those are my best friends. I don't have that problem. But I see a lot of other people that have those issues, and they never talk to those people again. So I think it's a little bit of commentary on that as well. Really good stuff. I think the kills are great. There's some really good, like, not the kill itself, but the way it's set up, the way it's shot, the way it's done. I think is really good, really interesting, and very unique film. I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, I watched this movie for the first time on March 23rd of this year, 2024, on my A24 watch-through journey. Originally, I knew it was a horror comedy. But yeah, originally the ending pissed me off so bad. But I like this movie a lot more after a second watch. It's like Clue meets Tucker and Dale versus Evil. The cast is great. The atmosphere is great. It's a lot of fun. And I'm glad you picked it so I could change my opinion on the movie. Also, I've come to the realization that I like Pete Davidson. From this to Big Time Adolescence to The King of Staten Island, damn it. I like him. I want to hate him, but I can't. Also, he wasn't in his 30s at the time of this movie, Brian. He was 29. But your point still stands.
Close enough. All right. Anybody have any other actuallys before we get into the scene by scene?
Well, actually, maybe. I don't.
Podcast is a lot of work. Okay.
We open up with Sophie and B making out in the woods, where we see B, speaking with a Russian accent, tries to slow her down, and Sophie goes right for the vaginal area. B playfully runs off, and later we see Sophie laying next to her, eyeing her longingly. She spills that she loves her, and says she doesn't have to say it back, but she just had to tell her. B stays silent, and it definitely seems like B is the aggressor in the relationship. The pair are about to reunite with Sophie's friend group with a past, it's insinuated, and B does some research via the World Wide Web first. Sophie assures her that they aren't as shitty as they appear on the internet. That's just what they want to come across as, which says a lot in that sense as a society in this online social media era we live in now. B is overwhelmed, finding them all very impressive as Sophie tries to encourage her that she is impressive as well, pointing out that Jordan, especially, will like her. They make it to David's family's house, and they aren't rich. They aren't just rich. They're Mike Settle rich here. As they enter Settle Manor Estate, it's clear B is uncomfortable, and Sophie gives her a big hug and a kiss to calm her down. B returns to the car under the guise of forgetting something and collects what appears to be baked goods from her belongings. When she does, she takes a look in the mirror to put on a fake smile, as we all do in situations like this, and we see her leave the mirror down, and therefore the lights on. No doubt draining the battery. That surely won't come back into play later. We are introduced to the rest of the friend group swimming in the pool, and they're as fucking annoying, entitled, and assholish as you would expect. They seem genuinely shocked to see Sophie and don't give the warmest welcome in the world. There's one person Sophie doesn't know, though, Alice's new boyfriend, Greg, who implies to know Sophie's history and also looks at least 40. We find out a hurricane is coming as Greg pulls out some wine and uses David's dad's sword to open it. And with everyone cheering, David definitely gives off some jealous vibes, which is further elaborated when he takes Sophie into a conversation by herself, saying that he gives off a, quote, that guy fucks kind of vibe, right? And tells Sophie that he got the black eye because of the missing Max, but thinks it's cool. Speaking of jealous, Jordan approaches B, warning her to be careful with Sophie, as her parents' house is even bigger, and B asks the group for the Wi-Fi password. Go ahead, Nico.
I'm going to have a good time hearing your scene by scene. I can already tell. And you know how to poke fun at you right at the beginning, Brian. I love when a film starts with the A24 logo. But I think Brian did write the dialogue in the script for the Cinema Sins. If you haven't watched that, their first sin was, people are jerking off seeing the A24 logo in the theater.
Yeah, seriously.
All right, this kiss between Sophie and B is one of director Helena Rain's favorites. She said she wanted to start with something sensuous and animalistic. The kiss originally lasted for minutes, But I think it's a good call, in my opinion, to trim it down just because you don't want to start the film. I didn't have any problem with it, but I don't want to watch anybody kissing for minutes at the beginning of a movie. It's like you gotta get us invested. You know what I'm saying? This song playing as the two drive has some very explicit lyrics. My goodness. I don't even know what it means when a lady says, I feel daddy as fuck. Can someone explain to me? Maybe I'm getting too old for this movie. It's funny. I guess Mike's getting picked on in this movie. The gate to this house cost more than my whole net worth. Was this film shot at Mike's vacation home?
Exactly.
I don't know how accurate it is with this particular vehicle, but it's dumb as hell that lights stay on when the engine is cut. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me in general. Just cut them shits off. Makeup department led by Jamie Amadeo, I think's how you say your name, did a fantastic job covering Pete Davidson's tattoos. I honestly forgot he was covered in tattoos until watching the Dead Meat Kill Count. This man is tatted up all over. This friend group, you can tell, is fake and toxic, as the youth would say, when Emma is immediately disgusted seeing Sophie. And I love Alice's reaction when Sophie says she likes the podcast. For me, in real life, it's so awkward talking about our podcast. I don't know why, but I don't like bringing it up. And even when I'm asked about it, it just feels weird talking about it. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Jordan,
Same.
very judgmental to be when she hears her job is at Game Hut. And Greg, he oozes riz and charisma, and I love David's jealous reaction to him using the sword to open the champagne. I've lived in Florida since I was in like the second grade, and I've never had or attended a hurricane party. What the hell am I doing with my life? David is fucking hilarious to me, calling the two women making out fuck faces and saying it's my house, I'm not knocking. I feel you, bro, but damn, you can be a little bit nice, right? The tension in between B and Jordan is thick with 3 C's. David's continued jealousy of Greg is awesome. I love his line, I look like I fuck. I don't know what that even means, but hell yeah, brother. I think Sophie and David have good chemistry together in their conversation. I think the film did fantastic with its casting. B continues to stick out like a sore thumb with his friend group. Fun opening. I'm ready to get into the chaos. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, this movie starts with a scene that Eric Bischoff from 2002 would love. I know that's like the second week in a row I've got to use that, so pretty great. Saying I love you to someone, not saying it back, that's crazy vibes. I mean, this thing's already off to a little bit of a rocky start, brother. Just saying. Anyway, I will say right off the bat, it feels like this movie is going to start out with some of those like almost comfortable tropes that we love. How many horror movies that we've done or even haven't done yet start out with like 2 people or more ride to this house in the middle of what looks like kind of nowhere, not really, but it is kind of, wooded area to have a weekend of fun with their friends and then shit goes to hell. Like, that's a comfortable place for me to be as a horror fan. Normally those are slasher movies, and I get the same, at least similar vibes here. It gave me the warm fuzzies. And the first thing you see is fucking Pete Davidson, man. And look, guys, let's be honest. He's packing heat through that bathing suit, brother. You can see it. It's on screen. I'm envious. I'm jealous. It's okay, Pete. I can't hate you, buddy. What?
Why were you looking? I didn't notice it.
I couldn't. Well, hey, that's not my fault. Get some fucking glasses, but anyway, everyone has a podcast these days. I don't know what the deal is. I mean, people should just get a life, get a fucking real job. You know what I mean? Anyway, sorry, we're on a podcast, but it feels like everyone is already unjustifiably at this point pissed at Sophie and B. Like, I stuttered there. That's terrible. Jesus Christ. I had phlegm and it went glit, glit. That was terrible. Tough times. I wasn't gonna. I wouldn't have batted an eyelash if you hadn't said. I had to stop my word though, or I wouldn't have finished it. Would have just kept going like a fucking scratch CD. Anyway, all right, let's try that again. Anyway, unjustifiably mad at Sophie and B. Now that she's sober, she kind of gets dirty looks. I don't really like that. I feel like you should support those friends, but that's neither here nor there. There is nothing better than swimming in the pool in the rain. So, Nico, you're missing out on these hurricane or rain day parties, man. You got to get to one before your life's over. I didn't realize that zucchini bread equaled school shooter because I personally like zucchini bread. Don't see the problem. I was not aware. I'm not going out of my way to make it, but I will eat some. I don't know if that makes me school shooter adjacent. Leave it in the comments. Oh, sorry. Wrong platform. Look, Pete is fucking. I
wanted to ask why you're wearing a trench coat.
Hey, buddy. April 20. Anyway, I won't get into that. It's all a conspiracy. So, I'm just kidding. Pete is fucking hilarious, man. And they also in this part kind of give you a little bit of tension with Jordan and Sophie, and where that's going to go, we don't know at this point, but there's definitely some groundwork being laid for sure. Pete does a lot of funny shit in this scene, man. There's really just a lot of stuff. Like this is one of those situations that I always hated when you have a significant other and you bring her or him or whoever around your friends for the first time. Like, that's such an awkward feeling because you're worried that you're going to act like you do with your friends instead of how you do with your significant other. And whether you think that's the same person or not is irrelevant. It's never is. Just when you get together with your friends, you have a different side of you that comes out. And I think they get that on display really well here with Sophie and B for sure. I'm a fan of this opening set of scenes. It got me right into the film. Sorry for the stuttering and the rambling.
Nice little girl-on-girl makeout sesh to open us up. B is just like me for real. Can't tell you how many times I've sat there awkwardly in silence after a girl says I love you. She's played by Maria Bakalova, who was in the 2024 movie The Apprentice, where she played Ivana Trump. Great movie, depending on who you ask. I know the president-elect doesn't think so, but I loved it. Anyway, and Sophie is played by Amandla Stenberg, who may be better known as Rue from the Hunger Games. Holy shit, she's all grown up. That's cool. I like the dynamic introduced at the house where Sophie unexpectedly shows up, which appears to not sit well with everyone. It's kind of awkward. Great feeling there. And I love Greg, man. He's hilarious, and I love how annoyed Skeet Davidson is with him. And I know Nico recognized him as Ronan in Guardians of the Galaxy and from the Hobbit trilogy, for sure. Decent enough open. A lot of character and dynamic establishing here. I'm invested.
We open up with B alone, calling her mother, telling her that her service went out, but she's on her Wi-Fi now. Off the phone, she reunites with the group, led by Greg, and we see them doing one of them there tic-tacs as the drinks start a-flowing. The crew begin to grill her about a relationship as B scarfs down cake that we learn is laced with the devil's lettuce, the marijuanas, to which she learns after the fact. We flash forward some as it's now nighttime, and everyone, including B, seems to definitely be letting loose. Things are hot and heavy on the dance floor, only compared to Mike's wedding. And as we learn, David keeps biting Emma's lip for some reason. He admits to Sophie that he's just coked up. That means he took some bumps on the old nose candy, you hear me? Jordan is back to her interrogation of B, asking where she went to school. Utah State, she tells her, and Sophie appears a little miffed as Jordan and B look to be getting a little too close in her eyes. They decide to play a murder-style in-the-dark game called Bodies, 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 or Bodies Cubed, as we call it in the hood. Reluctantly, I might add, as they say people take the game too seriously and start to fight. Kind of like when me and Mike whipped Drew and Nico's ass at Spades. NWO for life, Mike, right? Right? Right, Brian? Right. All right, he's got an earphone in probably. Emma wonders out loud about the missing Max, and David gets visually pissed with even the mention of his name, throwing Emma off his lap as Greg asks the rules, and we get an explanation. They gather in a big circle before the game and exchange slaps and shots, and Jordan goes a little fucking Rick James on B as they end up laughing it off. During the game, Sophie finds Greg's body, and Jordan immediately floats B as the killer, until David is then pointed out. We begin to worry that Greg is really dead, but David gives him the old capital of Thailand, Bangkok, boom, and Greg jumps up. Dave begins to get very defensive, especially towards Greg, and heads to bed early due to the hostility. During accusing Emma of being the killer, Alice blurts out, "Is that why they don't have sex?" And David immediately gets furious at Emma talking about the relationship behind his back, and she accuses him of gaslighting her, and he goes off on the term gaslighting, which I want to give him a high five for after, as he says, "Fuck this game," mimicking my feelings every week on the movie grid. Go ahead, Nico.
I love that B loves her mom. Real as fuck, B. I'm right there with you. I love my mom, too. I'm bored in the house, and I'm in the house bored. That's such a catchy jingle and fun TikTok song. Going to say it now, and I'm sure most would agree, Rachel Sennett as Alice. She's the best character. Her dialogue, inflection, it's so perfect. Okay, bitch. The friend group waits until B is eating a ton of this cake to finally tell her it's full of weed. That's shitty, but woo, she's going to feel good later. Another song with explicit lyrics, sheesh, but the vibes are immaculate as they all dance around, making out. David's line, I'm coked up and I bit her. I'm not going to lie, I laughed really hard at that. I thought that was funny. Definitely something going on with Sophie and Jordan we haven't learned. They give each other some evil looks, so I'm excited to explore. Alice yelling, yes, to Sophie wanting to play Bodies, 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 I thought was amazing. Alice is just the best character. She's hilarious. Bodies, Bodies, Bodies is our time's clue. And let me be blasphemous, this movie is better. I don't care what anyone says. David eating Alice's Tootsie Pop cracked me up as well as she takes a line of coke and he voices more jealousy of Greg. This movie slap game walked so the slap Olympics could run. I think that might have inspired it. According to the actresses, they actually slapped each other, but the real slap scenes didn't make the final cut. The director said the real slaps didn't look real. Alrighty then. And Pete Davidson actually punches Lee Pace's Greg, but was given permission to do so off screen. I thought that was pretty cool. Relationship drama kicks off with David and Emma. I love how all these arguments get real personal real quick. These people do not like each other. David knows how to wake another fella up, the old nutsack tap. The best defense is a good offense. I agree 100% unless you have Alex Atkins and Adam Fuller. That means you have a good neither of them. Greg maturely walks out the room again instead of murdering David. I love his "you kids have fun" line. Alice spills the tea on David and Emma's lack of sex life. I love this. I love how evil these people are to each other. Gaslighting, I agree, Brian, is one of the most overused words. I agree 100%, Pete. Narcissist is overused as well. Give me a fucking break. I'm so tired of hearing both of them. David is getting mad as fuck as they vote him as a killer. I think Pete kills this role. I agree, Mike. You know, I kind of went into it like detesting him, but he won me over. I think he was great in this. And I laughed at Brian's notes, bring up Movie Grid. That game is fun, but it's hard as a dick on two Blue Chew. Go ahead.
Whoa. First of all, Nico has pointed out explicit lyrics twice in this review already. Makes me feel like I really need to church up my language in the group chat. I'm sorry, Nico.
You are daddy as fuck.
Whoa.
I just want you to know, listeners, that Dustin put in the recording platform group chat here, pee pee poo poo shit fuck farts. So I'll let you know where we're at.
No one reads this, and that's kind of what they did in Scary Movie. Anyway,
okay, it's fine, brother. Bored in the house and in the house bored. Did I remember it very well? It feels like time flies by, but time also doesn't fly by sometimes. I'm like, God, that feels like a long fucking time ago. Again, they like kind of trick people into either drinking or eating this cake that's full. Like they said they were sober, got all that pressure. These people are assholes, man. I will say though, it's wild behavior, Nico. I don't know if you mentioned this or not because I had to step away. To eat the cake straight from that pan like that and just gobble it the fuck up, like, hey man, you kind of get what you get when you do that shit. That's some next level wild behavior, brother. Not that I've never done it, because I have. But that's another story. I'm a wild boy. What can I say? I love that Dave, even though his name is Pete in real life, so I'm just going to go and call him Pete Davidson because whatever, David, whatever. Stirring shit up. He's a great character to me. And this set of scenes in particular, he does a lot of just like really funny, dry, sarcastic stuff that I enjoy. The game Bodies, 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 or Bodies Cubed, according to Brian, would be really fun with the right group. Like if you played the actual game and didn't fucking, murder each other, I think it could be really fun. My friends group plays Werewolf all the time. It's the same damn game, same concept. Mafia is another one, same game. Very similar. I think it'd be really good. Dude, I'm going to go shot for shot and slapping someone. I would have been fucked that night at Roosters, brother, because I was on a mission. I wouldn't have stopped. I was already fucked because I shit myself. So I can't even imagine what would happen if we'd have played that shit. I can tell you that. That would not have been good. I will say, though, one thing Pete will not do is fucking punch me. I'll slap that big dick motherfucker across the face. You bet your ass. You bet your ass I will,
it's
buddy.
just the phrasing.
What's wrong with it?
Why you got to point that
It's
out?
been confirmed by many celebrities. I cannot help this.
Why you got to point that out?
All right, man. I do say I like how the movie kind of sets up, and I mentioned this in another review, where like the lights go out, something bad happens, lights come on. I like that approach. I mentioned it as a Bray Wyatt, reference the last time I talked about it, but I do like that. It kind of like changes the vibe. When the lights go out, now it's a different vibe. Lights back on, and Greg is being an asshole. Anyway, so Pete asking what the best, Pete asking what best defense is a good offense is over and over again. Such a fucking dick move, but funny as hell. It made me laugh because Greg is really kind of like uptight and defensive. I think it worked. It's self-explanatory, and he knows that. He's just being a fucking asshole. Last thing, I love that these motherfuckers rip on the word gaslighting. I am so fucking sick and tired of hearing that word. God damn, I hate that it's in our popular culture. Can't fucking stand it. Half the people that use it don't even know how to use it properly because they're fucking... Anyway, that would have been mean. I'm going to let Dustin go now because I've talked for too long and I got peanut butter in the roof of my mouth.
B fucking up that cake and then finding out after the fact that she's been chowing it down for a while now that it has the marijuana's in it. That's hilarious. I think this movie does a good job at capturing the vibes of a house party. Like, people click up, there's drama, especially when you get I'm not one for stereotypes, but certain ones exist for a reason. Girls are very catty. There's a lot of drama. People are bouncing around, doing some things. Good job in that regard. And then we get introduced to the movie's namesake, the game Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. Seems like a fun party game, especially with some nose beers involved. Hell yeah. It reminds me, though, I always wanted to play True American. I don't know if you guys have ever watched New Girl, but that game always looks fun. I don't understand what the fuck's going on, but anyway. B is too sweet for this friend group. Like, she didn't want to slap David at all. But one of the funniest things in the movie is when he says, like this, and punches Greg. Pretty sure I'll always laugh at that. And Davidson really punched Lee Pace. But Pace gave him permission beforehand to do it. Even though it's just a game, still decent tension when the lights are off. And it really cranks up when Greg's not moving and everyone thinks he's really dead. Good stuff there. And it's hilariously broken up by David giving Greg the old cock tap. Greg going off to bed after the awkward moment with David plants a seed of suspicion for what happens later in the movie. It's a better set of scenes than the opening. I really like it.
Time for another round of shots and slaps before they get started, minus Greg and David, on another round of the game, when the lights and Wi-Fi go out for real this time. And the common sense goes out as well and goes out the fucking window as they blame David for it and, knock the fucking hurricane outside. B sets off on her own for the bathroom and is startled by a loud thud. She turns and sees David flung against the window. She watches the other girls outside with him through the window, and we are shown David has a huge gash in his neck, and they debate what to do with him as he is dying, deciding not to move him because they watched Law & Order SVU once and don't want to disturb the crime scene. We have a bunch of fucking here. They pile into Sophie's car to get help, but the battery is dead because of B leaving the mirror down, unrealistically, I might add. But, hey, it's a movie. We learn it's the only car, as Matt dropped the rest of them off and, hasn't shown back up. David has no vehicles at a house with 4 garages. Okay. Again, moving on. They go back inside as they debate why David was even outside to begin with. There's some sudden banging on the door, and it's Jordan demanding to be let back in. She has found the blade out in the woods, covered in blood. The same sword Greg used to open the wine earlier. They start to question about Max, and we learn the previous night that they all took shrooms and confessed his love to Emma, to which David, at the time, was not amused about, but that quickly changed as they sobered up, explaining the punch to the face and the hostility towards Emma all night from David. They decide to go look for Greg, and Jordan grabs a cleaver for protection, while Alice questions while they are arming themselves and warns about escalating the situation. They question how long Alice has even known Greg, and then realize that they lost Emma, to which they immediately start questioning that she may have done it, mirroring the game they were playing earlier. They go through Greg's bag and find a map of the area with the house circled specifically, raising suspicions immediately. The group then moves up to search Jordan's room, where they find Emma cowering under the sheets, and to calm her, give her some Xanax. Oh, and a weapon. They venture off to look for Greg, who they find using a light therapy mask in the middle of the room. Go ahead, Nico.
The power goes out, and I didn't really think about this until I listened to the Dead Meat podcast review, but this is actually really impressive lighting and cinematography using cell phones, glow sticks, and headlamps to light the film. Big shout out to Jasper Wolf, the director, and just an incredible job. Shit hits the fan when a bleeding David stumbles into the window, And Alice continues to crack me up. Don't move his body. Haven't you seen SVU? She's so funny to me. Now is when we get our first bit of music, which I love. The composer is Disasterpeace, the same team that did the It Follows music, which I thought was great as well. I love the group as they begin theorizing what happened. Alice steals the scene again with her tone of voice and how she describes her and Greg's relationship. He's a Libra moon, and you wait to ask the middle name. Her "you're silencing me" line was ad-libbed and perfect for that moment. The crew being so shocked Greg has a hurricane supply kit is hilarious. It just shows how out of touch and immature they are and how mature he really is. Alice cracks up again, giving Emma pills and taking some herself, crunching on them joints like they're Tic Tacs. This is the last thing I got, but I thought it was another great set of scenes, and the tension is rising in this whodunit.
I mean, all right, man. So she was okay with like slapping the shit out of Sophie. Like, what is this group into, man? Like, I was like, I know they all don't like each other, but is there like some weird thing? Anyway, I don't know. So obviously, it's easy to assume it's one of the guys doing this, but because they're playing this game, it does feel like a true whodunit at this point. Like, I am invested in who's the murderer here. I think Greg is an easy red herring, so I never, thought he had anything to do with it. I love how they shake him and they're like, "Is he dead?" The fuck do you mean is he dead? Of course he's dead. Look at this motherfucker. The weapon of choice. I love the reveal later in the film, and I have it in my last set of scenes. The weapon of choice that Pete Davidson is killed with, quote unquote, is fucking funny in the moment, and even funnier when it's shown how it's done. That's crazy. I love how we find out that Alice has been great for 2 weeks, okay, and doesn't know his last fucking name. So, like Nico mentioned, she may be my favorite character because she's slopping all over the place, and I got to give her some love and credit for it, brother. I do feel like they waste a little bit of time wandering through the dark, until they find Emma. Just kind of a weird choice, but that's all I had. An engaging set of scenes, finally getting some kills. Really, I am into the whodunit aspect a lot like Nico here.
Yeah, she said, "Was that the lights when the power blows?" No, it was the water. Dumbasses. But,
is he dead? Yeah, dog. Man.
After it's dark, the atmosphere is great here. And then David banging into the window all bloodied up was also great. Not going to lie, my first suspect when he died was Kanye West. I thought that all the way up to the ending of the movie. Alice defending Greg is hilarious. Great rationale. He's a Libra moon. That's funny. I really like the atmosphere and the tone of this movie throughout. A hurricane provides a great setting, and a group of young partying kids would 100% act the way that they're acting. They nailed that part. Then David's dad can be a dick, but his politics check out. The hell? Not every person's gun ownership is tied to political beliefs. That was funny to me. That's a funny line. I'm still liking this movie a lot. Just didn't really have a lot of notes.
Jesus, Kanye West. Wow.
I mean, if anyone has motive.
I mean, you're not wrong. The group wake Greg up from his light therapy session and explains that he couldn't sleep, and as for why he didn't answer, he's had headphones in this whole time. Look, this man is as old as me. I'm surprised they aren't wired headphones, to be honest. He asks if they're still playing the game and howls like a wolf, running around the room, beating his chest like a lunatic. The girls are legitimately scared and ask about the map. Greg is confused as to what's really going on here, and they tell him Dave is dead. Still thinking they're messing with him, he knocks the weapon away and asks Alice what the hell is really going on. Things escalate quickly as they all agree to put down their weapons, and as soon as he does, bam! Jordan and Emma attack him. During the skirmish, B hits him in the head with a fucking kettlebell, killing him. Alice is beside herself, questioning the logics of the entire thing like an actual sane person. And the group consider walking, but talk themselves out of it, and we cut to Sophie alone in her room, indulging in some more of the white powder sweet stuff street candy. She does a line, quote unquote, of the quote cocaines before rejoining the others, and we can see an immediate change in her demeanor. Sophie becomes hostile with Emma, who leaves her, as we see B has left the group as well. With things escalating, Sophie breaks open a board game and finds another stash of pills, and I'm sure this isn't some aspirin. It's probably, as we like to call in the streets, some Xannies. When Emma comes in, apologizes, and tries to kiss her, and we end up taking some of the Zancaster 3000s herself. We cut to Alice by herself, hearing muffled screams and then a thud off in the distance. She blindly runs in some random direction and, of course, trips over something. She's horrified to discover that it's Emma's body and screeches for help. Jordan is the first to reach her, and they float the possibility that she just tripped and fell, but that would be too easy. So Alice convinces her that she had to be pushed and that it's murder. See, it couldn't have been Greg. Oops, we killed him for no reason. Alice continues to try to connect her wild theories, saying that maybe the killer in the game is the killer in real life, since the deaths are following the same pattern as in the game, and the rest of the crew accuse her of being coked out of her mind. They notice B, who now has a new sweater on and makeup, weirdly, as the crew turn their ire on her. Jordan presents some damning evidence against B as she Googled her story about Utah State and there was no record of her going. The group pile on B and end up throwing her out into the storm, boating her off of the island, essentially. Go ahead, Nico.
Greg, shout out Brian, though, continuing the Maxine murder. I love that. Keep doing that. Greg, he's a cool-ass dude, but I don't know how he's lying on a basketball court. My back, my knees, everything will be hurting so bad doing that. Greg has no clue what's happened with David and is going werewolf on these ladies. Even after telling him he's dead, he doesn't know they're being serious. I love this. I love that he's so out of touch with these young, immature idiots. Greg is a nice guy and puts his knife down in solidarity, but of course, Jordan has no chill. All of this could have been avoided if they just had talked instead of overreacted. B straight up murders Greg for no reason with a kettlebell. You know, a recent movie, Beetlejuice started a hashtag justice for somebody. I won't spoil who it's for, but I'm going to start a hashtag justice for Greg now. He got killed for no reason. Jordan, I hope I don't butcher this, her name. Jordan, played by Mihala, I think's how you say, is great in this movie as well. She steals a lot of scenes to me as well. And then Alice revealing Greg was a veterinarian's assistant, not a military man. That's fucking hilarious to me. Like, look at him. That's why I call him G.I. Joe. All of these ladies are wet and disgusting, but a little vomit, and now B has to go change her shirt. Unreal. The situation is already scary and a disaster. And what Sophie do? More cocaine. Sophie tells Emma off, and another great argument scene ensues. It escalates quickly when Sophie wishes Emma's head got cut off instead. Oh, okay, goddamn. Maria Bakalova does great as B. She portrays the emotions of the outsider so well. I think she does great. I love that Alice finds Emma's body by tripping over it. Rachel Snow has a great fearful scream too. Not quite Samara Weaving, Dustin's favorite, or Mia Goth, but very solid. Alice, and I said her name wrong, it's Rachel Sennett, not Snow, my bad. Alice takes a huge leap assuming Emma got pushed down the steps, but it was very suspicious that B walks down the steps right after. Very sneaky. Alice steals another scene screaming, "Who's the killer?" and saying, We're all coked out. Literally, you sick fuck. Another great Alice line delivery. I can't do her justice. She's so perfect at it. And it's because she is that person in real life. Go listen to her interviews. She talks just like that. She was so perfectly cast. Sophie is a terrible girlfriend. She doesn't do anything to defend B, but this is great drama. Go ahead, Mike.
Sure. Brian, I think you made fun of Greg's age and saying you're surprised that his headphones aren't wired while doing this show wearing wired headphones. So anyway,
I said at least my age.
The listeners can't see that you're also wearing wired headphones. It made it funny to me. I'm sorry. All right. I kind of want one of these therapy masks that Greg has, so that looks pretty badass. A nice way to take a little napski, go to sleep.
Yeah.
I'm all in
your
that.
in your giant room in your giant mansion. You should.
Buddy, I fucking wish I had a basketball court, man. Are you kidding? That'd be sick as fuck. Anyway, I'm old like Greg and Brian. Not as old as Brian, but I'm old like Brian. And this game is also Werewolf to me. He even calls it, you guys still playing Werewolf? So, man, I was like, all right, we're kindred spirits being old Greg. I probably drinks Bailey's out of a shoe. Anyway.
I say that because I was going
yeah, buddy.
Do you love me?
Honestly, don't know what to think here because Greg is acting insane. But I'm pretty sure he's just acting. You know, like Nico mentioned, justice for Greg, man. This man is pretty much killed because someone thought he was about to go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Like, I thought it was an unjustified death as well. I do think it's really well done, though, and B, being the one that takes him out was interesting. It doesn't really tie into that much later in the film, though. But anyway, I will say Jordan, probably my least favorite character in the film. She has this sense of vigilante justice that's nowhere to me. It's total bullshit. It's a crapshoot. We talked about the themes this movie comments on, and she kind of centers around some of this my least favorite stuff about it. And she's the main reason that Greg is dead. I feel like that Sophie and Emma fucking let each other have it here, unraveling, and we get more of it in the next set of scenes. That everyone is fake as shit in this friends group to each other. It gets even worse after this, for sure. Emma's just kind of weird, laying a kiss on her. All right, man, whatever. We do get a little glimpse of Bea dealing with the fact that she killed someone, presumably an innocent person. I think she may be starting to realize. So that was interesting. But, I mean, the first time I ever saw this, I'm like, is Bea going to go crazy? And maybe that's why she doesn't drink or smoke. And now that she's doing this, her brain is reacting to it. I don't know. That doesn't go there. But mob mentality rearing its ugly head here with very little evidence, already assuming who the killer is and trying to take them out. So I think there's definitely some commentary on that in this set of scenes. Fun set of scenes, though, with a few even funny parts from our main people here.
Yeah, Greg not knowing what's going on and scaring the shit out of the girls. That's a hilarious scene. Love that. And then kettlebell, that's a wild way to die. It reminds me of when Diddy's son played football at UCLA and Diddy threw a kettlebell at a coach during a disagreement. The signs were there. Why is he just now in jail? Everyone turning on Bea is a great development, and their logic makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I mean, not a lot of notes, just vibes. I'm having fun.
Out in the storm, Bea calls for Sophie, who doesn't do shit, and just watches the whole thing go down and ignores her pleas for help. She makes it back to Sophie's truck, though, through the storm, and decides she needs to change into some dry clothes. Digging through Sophie's bag, she finds a bra that looks exactly like the one of Jordan's that Bea found earlier. Bea returns to the house to find a way inside and spies someone through the window retrieving a handgun, and also manages to find a huge-ass doggy door big enough for a horse, and she makes her way inside and arms herself with a hammer. She confronts the girls again and warns everyone that Jordan has a gun in her pocket. Upon emptying her pockets, though, Jordan shows that she does not have a gun, but the girls do find out that she had the notepad marked with an X, signifying her as a killer in the game, which means absolutely nothing, but for some reason these girls, it's a big deal. Naturally, because it's a completely sane thing to do, but the coked out girls now believe that she may be the killer in real life as well. Okay. Because, that makes a ton of logical sense. Bea goes back and forth with Jordan, eventually telling Sophie the truth about Bea lying about her job and school, not wanting to disappoint Sophie with being a loser. She reveals that her mother had something called borderline, and Alice interrupts, going on a rant about mental health and saying that she suffers from body dysmorphia. Jordan interrupts, saying what we're all thinking, telling Alice to shut the hell up. Sophie forgives Bea, and following a groan, Jordan retrieves the gun from the couch, pointing it at them, calling it all bullshit. Alice and Jordan turn on Sophie now, calling her out for only being here to get David's help to unlock her trust fund again, and that nobody here even wanted her to come. Sophie tries to deflect, but Jordan keeps it real, telling Sophie that she herself rode in an ambulance 3 times thanks to her and her overdoses, and ended up narking on her to her dad until they drug her off to rehab. Things get really personal as Jordan reveals that Sophie begged her to stop by on the way up, and that they fucked in the car. Sophie denies it and then reveals that Jordan hates Alice and her podcast. Wow, the nerve. And the only reason she listens is to hate listen. But hey, at least she listens, right? Or they go back and forth, and Jordan ends up shooting Alice in the leg. She denies doing it, even though we just witnessed it, and we further illustrate the point that this group really just doesn't accept responsibility for literally anything. Alice jumps at Jordan, and they all struggle for the weapon as the gun goes off, and the next set of scenes is the ending.
This group of scenes kicks off with more of that awesome score as Bea makes it back to the car. But I gotta admit, it's dangerous to be walking outside during a hurricane. Catching a limb to the dome isn't ideal, Bea. And it just got real. Bea finds some panties that mysteriously match Jordan's bra from earlier. I don't know if sniffing them joints was necessary, but hell yeah, sister. I will give the crew props. This storm, it looks realistic as hell. Nice little reveal that Jordan was the killer in the game as more drama pops off with the ladies. And I love how Alice, throughout the movie just piggybacks off the last thing everyone says all movie long. It's so fucking funny to me. Bea does a great job portraying her emotions and revealing the truth about her situation with her mom and her job. But I have no clue why Bea didn't just go get another mall job after Game Hut closed. Malls are hiring everywhere all the time. Like, you could have walked in 5 stores and got another job. Alice's "I have body dysmorphia" right after B tells him that her mom's got borderline, and Jordan's reaction to "Oh my God, shut the fuck up" is so perfect. I laughed so hard at that. Jordan gets the gun out B said she had. My favorite scene in the film starts now. Jordan and Alice, they steal it. I understand Mike dislikes Jordan, but her line delivery is so perfect. I understand I am an ally. Another improvised line from Rachel. I thought she was so good in this movie. Fuck off and die. Another great line. As is facts are facts. Great job, Jordan. And it gets spicy now. Jordan snitches she and Sophie had sex before she went and picked up B. I love this. I love this segment with Alice's podcast and Jordan hating it. Hate listens still count. Am I right, Brian? I don't care what anyone says. Give me all the hate listens. Just don't write any reviews on us. They hurt my feelings.
That ship has sailed.
Yeah, they hurt my feelings though. The groan Jordan does is hilarious, and I relate to Alice on a spiritual level. A podcast is a lot of work, okay? You build a following, and it does take a long fucking time. Upper middle class might be the meanest insult I've heard all movie. Alice's reaction to being shot is amazing too. Did you just fucking shoot me? You're the murderer. That's a TikTok sound. I know Dustin knows it. I knew it. You're such a bitch. I've never been shot before. It really fucking hurt. She is so funny to me. Jordan is such a liar. She lies about shooting Alice after we just seen her do it in 4K. I audibly laugh out loud every time Alice cries about her leg when they're all like on top of each other wrestling. She's like, "Oh, my leg." It's so funny to me. And now RIP to the best character in the movie, Alice. But whatever your podcast is, I will continue to support listening. Go ahead, Mike.
I would also support for reasons Alice call me sometime. The hurricane. This is not the strongest hurricane in the world, though, Nico. Like, I know there's some wind whipping there, but it's mostly just rain. She'll be okay. And if she gets hit in the arm or leg or whatever, she'll be fine. She has another one. I will say, leaving a complete, at that point, stranger for the most part out in the rain is pretty fucked up. Although these are some of the best film shots of the movie, in my opinion. This is a time where they start telling each other everyone's secrets. Feels like a really bad time for this, but again, just kind of exposing that once one thing happens, it starts to snowball into another. I actually really, we talked about how much we like Alice. Nico, you mentioned me not liking Jordan. I don't mean that in a bad way. It's portrayed so well on screen that I don't like her, and I think that's the intent, maybe at least. And if that is the intent, they pulled it off really well. And again, they hint at this Jordan and Sophie stuff in the beginning, but finally getting out is at least interesting. And we still never really find out with 100% certainty if this thing where they had sex in a car or whatever is actually true. At least not anything that I saw. But I did think it was interesting that they went that direction. Everyone in this group, like we mentioned, fucking hates each other. They do not like each other. Point blank period. They can pretend to be friends if they want to. And I love how everyone starts to lay into Jordan here, man. Sophie gets in on it, but like you said, it's really Alice and Jordan because this is the first time Alice really stands up for herself in any way. And you mentioned all the one-liners. She's got some fucking good one-liners. And didn't get shot. I mean, her screaming, "You're a fucking bitch" at the top of her lungs is great. For some reason, that's a standard line in a lot of movies, but it just works here. I think it's really good. Shoots her and then denies shooting her, which makes no sense. "No, I didn't shoot you." Man, this movie does that a lot, though, where it's like, "No, that didn't happen. We just fucking watched it happen." Is he dead? No, he's not dead. Same shit. Come on, man. I like that. I will say some of the fighting over the gun here is a little. It looks like the scene in The Other Guys where they're quiet fighting in the corner at the funeral. It's not the best, scramble scene I've ever seen, but the gun goes off. Now Alice is gone, which really broke my heart in a million little pieces. So go ahead, Dustin.
Yeah, kind of disappointing that B finds these panties but never brings them up. When Jordan says she banged Sophie, she should have pulled those drawers out of her jacket and confronted her, but she never did. It's a pointless scene to have her find them to me. And a weird choice to have her sniff them, like Nico pointed out. And director Helena, not pronouncing that right, but Rajan, says even she wonders if viewers realize that they're Jordan's panties. I don't know, lady. Maybe make that a point in the film. It's your fucking movie. B going through the dog door and then seeing the tools on the counter is funny because it gave me Scary Movie vibes, which we just reviewed. half expected her to pick up a banana as her weapon. Alice turning B's story around on her was hilarious. I'm sorry your mom has mental health problems. I have body dysmorphia. Jordan cracked me up when she told her shut the fuck up, like you guys have already mentioned, but that shit's so funny. Very believable stuff when all the girls turn on each other. 100% would happen. And then I'm sure that we have at least a few hate listens of our podcast, but hey, like you guys said, listens are listens. So thanks, dickheads. We really appreciate it. And then, did you shoot me? No. As she still pointed the gun at Alice. That's so fucking funny. This is ramping up nicely for the finish.
Dude, you're so right about director Helena Rain. That is so right. Like, just put it in the fucking movie.
If you want us to realize something, put it in the fucking movie.
You're so right. After this is the ending, guys. After the gun goes off, they unfurl the bodies of the pile and realize that Alice is in fact dead. Jordan once again tries to push off blame and turns the gun on Sophie. Sophie approaches her, making Jordan move back and eventually up the stairs where B is waiting for her. Surprise, bitch! Jordan lets off shots as the two fight, and B eventually pins her to the wall and puts her in the camel clutch. Not really, it was just a headlock, but I wanted to say camel clutch to seem cool. Anyway, meanwhile, Sophie just doesn't do shit to help B and just watches. B bites her and throws her over the top ropes, i.e. the banister, and sends her crashing to the floor below. Still somewhat alive, though, Jordan tells her to once again check the text and fires blindly till she dies. As Sophie and B run off to hide, the two start to turn on each other as B asks once again if she slept with Jordan. She obviously cannot trust her and pushes her hand away and runs off with Sophie chasing, telling her that they need to stick together. B hides until the morning and she emerges and makes her way through the carnage of the house. Outside, the storm aftermath is shown and B comes across David's corpse where all of this started. Sophie surprises her from behind. Well, that sounded dirtier than I meant. And B points the gun at her and asks to see her cell phone. Sophie admits guilt by tossing the cell phone into the mud, and the two wrestle over it until they realize that they found David's phone, not Sophie's. They use his dead body to unlock the phone and play the last video he recorded, which was him trying to attempt Greg's champagne break via the sword like we saw at the start of the movie. We are then shown him accidentally cut himself with the blade, meaning the entire chain of events was wrong from the start. Max shows up asking what happened as the power comes back on, to which the movie ends with B giving Max the cell phone and saying she has reception. And just last thing, just before I go, the quote from the director, the final line, "I have reception," sums up this film for director Helena Rain. Reception is more important than anything. If we don't have reception, we don't have oxygen, it seems, to these kids.
Yep. All right, Jordan continues to lie about shooting Alice, and it's hilarious to me. If I'm Sophie, I'll let Jordan walk away. I'm not following her unhinged ass with that gun. B, Randy Orton's Jordan grabbing the gun and squabbling with her. Brutal death getting thrown over the balcony. I love her last words alive are check her text. She has to die feeling validated that she wasn't lying. B says it's okay if she killed Emma. What do you mean by that? Sophie lies after saying she'd answer honestly about having sex with Jordan. I love how terrible all these people are, and they do a great job with it. Great camera work following B running down the hall. I thought that stood out. And I like that it's morning time now and the weather has passed. It's a nice reveal that Emma died from the pill she took earlier and tripping and falling. Sophie would rather risk death by gunshot than show B her text with Jordan. To me, that's proof enough that she did it. And then tossing her phone only makes you look even guiltier. This mud and the pool water looks disgusting. If that's not Sophie's phone, whose is it? I love that B opens David's eyes to use the face unlock. And to me, here comes one of the best and funniest endings I've ever seen. David wasn't murdered. He accidentally killed himself making a board in the house TikTok trying to open the bottle like Greg. I can't tell y'all how hard I laughed the first time I watched this movie and I saw this reveal. I had to pause the movie because I was literally crying, laughing, and sweating. I was laughing so hard. I had that stomach laugh where like you start sweating, you can't breathe. B just setting the phone down was the perfect reaction as well. And honestly, I might have liked that ending better if that was it and not Max showing up and B saying I have reception. I didn't think it was terrible, but man, just having B set that phone down, look Sophie in the eyes, and just in credits roll, I think that might have been perfect.
Yeah.
I agree. I actually would have liked that ending better too. Again, Alice is dead. Poor Alice makes me sad. If I'm B, I'm not involving myself with these people's shit, man. I'm getting the fuck out of Dodge. I don't care what Sophie, pleads and cries about. Nope. Now, here's a question for the group. Who had the better stairs fall? Jordan or the annoying ass kid from Halloween Ends? Who had the better fall down the staircase? Because, man, as shitty as Halloween Ends is, and it is, that's like the best part of the whole film.
I vote the grandma from Scary Movie.
Fair. Not quite the same, but fair. I'll take it. No, I like this stuff between Sophie and B because we are kind of getting back to the whole point of the film, or at least how we started the movie. But it's also opposite of how we start. But my one nitpick, and may even just be something I don't like as a negative, we don't really get a really good resolution between these two. Like Nico mentioned, like her getting the phone, looking at Sophie dead in the eye as they both come up from the water, I think is such a more impactful ending. But again, this movie is a horror comedy, so I get it. And also them ending on Pete Davidson killing himself trying to make a fucking TikTok is legitimately the funniest part of the film. Like, it is absolutely fucking hilarious, especially when we go back and use I'm bored in the house and I'm in the house bored. Like, it's fucking perfect. It actually is the perfect ending to me, and how we find that out. But we never really know if Sophie cheated for sure, but I guess we can use context clues with the panties. So that's all I had. I thought the ending, small little bit of a letdown, but nothing like too crazy to like make me not like the film or anything.
Yeah, B throwing Jordan over the banister, that's hilarious. I laugh. And in my experience, it doesn't exactly instill confidence in your innocence when you put up such a fight to keep your partner from looking at your text. It's never worked out for me. So I don't know what her plan was there. The fact that David killed himself making a TikTok pissed me off so much the first time I watched this movie. But it's actually funny as fuck. So once I knew what I was getting into when I watched the movie, I appreciated it so much more. It's solid. I liked it.
All right, fellas, you got anything else before we jump into social media? I don't have anything on the gram. It seems like we only have one on Facebook. It's from Sean Irwin. 3 names in the title, 3 comments on social media. I don't know what that means, brother. Also, Pete Davidson wasn't a terrible actor. You're right. That's all we had on the Book of Faces.
All right. The reason he said that is because he also commented on Blue Sky. Blue Sky Social. Go give us a follow. It's just at don'tgoouthere.com. That's right, our website. He said, probably too late, but this was a weird-ass movie. I think I liked it, but it was a trip. And then hopping over to X, the artist formerly known as the Twitter.
Does that mean he commented on there too? Is that why he said 3?
One comment, and it's from Sean the Glee Man. This is a comment that will be read on air. You are correct, sir.
This man was
Sean.
Sean.
This fucking dude.
Mike, you got the budget?
Thank you, Sean. Nope. No, I'm just kidding. This movie was made for $3.2 million and grossed around $15.8 million, roughly, depending on where you look. Pretty solid for a really small budget. I imagine a lot of that budget was spent on Pete Davidson, so or that wouldn't shock me. Yeah, I mean, for what it was made for and when it was released, not a whole lot of advertising for it either. I think $15.8 million is a solid number for what it was trying to do.
I got one fun fact I want to talk about. The shoot went for 25 days, so they wanted to find a house that could deliver all the locations they need. They found it in a large house located an hour outside of New York. And I only brought that up because they looked like the director, Helena Rain, was like writing, adding to the script, and like she wanted a basketball court, she wanted a gym, blah, 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 blah. And they finally found this mansion outside of New York. And she said it was way overpriced and was already deteriorating. Like they had dead mice floating in the pool. Like all the rooms were all infested. So they probably spent a lot of money cleaning that damn mansion up too.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a dump.
Yeah, no kidding. I only have one. For sabering the champagne bottle, Lee Pace admitted that he practiced for the feat at home using Thranduil's sword from his time in the Hobbit 2012 film series.
Great movie.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure you've seen it.
Yeah, I've got two. Amandla Stenberg messaged New York Times film critic Lena Wilson. After Wilson called the film a, quote, 95-minute advertisement for cleavage in her review, Amandla said, quote, your review was great. Maybe if you had gotten your eyes off my tits, you could have watched the movie. Good stuff there. And then Skeet Davidson was in Good Burger 2 with Rob Gronkowski, who was in Entourage with David Arquette.
Holy shit. Nice.
That was good. That was a good pull. Pause.
Thank you.
All right, let's jump into our favorite kill, least favorite kill, and the rating. Dustin, you want to kick us off so you can jot these notes down?
Yeah, favorite kill was Greg. Kettlebell to the back of the dome is brutal. Least favorite was Alice. My girl deserved better. I would have protected her. But in all seriousness, it was an accidental gunshot at the bottom of a dog pile, so the kill itself wasn't necessarily good. As far as my final thoughts and the rating, the comedy, the character writing, the acting, the score, the atmosphere, I like pretty much all of it. The first time I watched it, the ending pissed me off, like I said, but in hindsight, I was wrong. I love Tucker and Dale versus Evil. This was a very similar concept. An accidental death causes a chain reaction of more unnecessary deaths. This movie rules. I had it ranked 22nd out of the 43 A24 movies that horror movies when I ranked them. A list that doesn't include Heretic, which would definitely be top 10 easily. I need to update the list. But I'd have it higher after this rewatch. I gave the movie an 8.
Nice.
I'll go next. Favorite kill, I got to go with Pete Davidson. I was dying laughing. And, of course, and the fact that it's Pete Davidson who kills himself, just because he's the biggest name in the movie, fucking humble. It's amazing. I love that shit. Least favorite kill, I got to go with Greg. The kill itself was good, but justice for Greg, man. He didn't deserve to die. He was just zenning out, seasonal depression, chilling out in the gym. He was doing nothing. He just got killed by some hating bitches.
So you're saying Alice did deserve to die. Okay, Alice, you hear that?
She didn't deserve to die. She didn't deserve to die. I love Alice. I've been praising her all movie. Yeah, I love this movie more and more with each rewatch. I wrote that in my Letterboxd review. I saw your review as well, Dustin. I saw your 4 stars. So I kind of had an idea you're going in that 8 range. I gave it a 4.5. I have very few complaints on this movie. I do think it's kind of convenient that the car battery died just from that little ass light. I saw that on IMDb. That's kind of like a continuity error. And I know it happened, but I don't know if it would happen personally. Like there's you're in a hurricane, you can have that car not work for other reasons. Have a tree fall on it for Pete's sake.
There you go.
And like y'all mentioned, the panty thing didn't even get brought back up. So did she really need to find the panties? I mean, okay. But anywho, I also don't know if I believe that Pete Davidson's phone would still be working. I mean, it's been outside in the rain.
It is hurricane.
An iPhone. iPhone. Listen, I love an iPhone, but they're a piece of shit. Like they'll break easy as hell. But anyway, I love this movie. I think it's hilarious. And I thought Helena Rain had made a good point about the guys in the movie as well. Like it talks on Pete Davidson has all the privilege. He's rich. He's got a beautiful girlfriend, but he's still threatened by Greg because he's yoked. He's he has charisma. He has riz. He's likable. They
over 40.
Over 40. Talks on toxic masculinity, but it's also men's feel the need to feel competitive against other men, to be the top dog. I thought they executed everything they wanted to well. I give it a 9.25.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Love this movie.
I'll go ahead and go, Mike.
Sure.
David's my favorite kill. Off-screen one, I think, was it Emma that they just found? I think that would be my least favorite kill. Whoever fell down the stairs, I think it was Emma. Again, I really enjoyed this movie and really the statement on, like I said at the start, group think and miscommunication and basically how fucked everyone was for assuming and lack of any critical thinking or responsibility on their part. Pretty much a statement on teenagers as a whole, I think, from any recent generation anyway. I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 8.5.
Okay. My favorite kill was Pete Davidson or David killing himself. I thought that shit was fucking hilarious. Can't believe that's how this whole chain of events ended up starting. It's fucking funny, man. My least favorite is also Alice because man, it didn't have to be like this. Like Dustin said, I could have protected her. But anyway, yeah, I like the movie a lot. I really liked it a lot more these last 2 rewatches I've done. I love the acting. It is actually hilarious, legitimately in some spots. Whether it be Alice or David, They're both really funny in certain or at certain points. Even Greg has a line or two that I really think is hilarious. And they do some of the horror stuff well too. There's some continuity errors and there's some decisions I say, like to never come back and use the panties, which is a weird out of context line, but I think you guys know what I mean. I didn't like that, but a few minor things here and there. I give this movie an 8.5.
Okay.
Hell yeah, let's go.
That gives us a composite score of 8.5625. IMDb, they're a little low on this movie, 6.2, but Rotten Tomatoes, we're right in line with them, 86%. And Letterboxd has it at a 3.3.
Okay.
Hey, Dustin, Brian just gave an A24 movie an 8.5. You see that?
Yeah, see? His whole gimmick of A24 sucks. Nah, the jig is up.
Well,
I'm buying some Powerball tomorrow.
Man, we just finally started picking some ones that were decent and didn't have jack-off scenes every 5 seconds.
Hey, come on, man. Chill out.
Well, speaking of A24 good ones.
I saw The Lighthouse in IMAX a couple weeks ago, Brian. You would have loved seeing that jizz dripping on that giant screen.
God, I would not have loved that at all.
Let's shout out our blood donors. Get the hell out of here. It's 10:20 and I'm tired as hell. All right, shout out our blood donors. Really appreciate y'all. Legendary blood donor Dana Tucker. We really appreciate you, Dana. You're awesome. Final girl donor Christina Tower. We just did her review. Happy Death Day. That was a really fun movie. Jenny Conway. We're going to be doing her review in a couple weeks. Camper level reoccurring is Nina, the Horror Movie Crew podcast. Alex Seligson, Steve Schmidt, Michelle Mirza, and Chris Manley. Camp counselor reoccurring Edwin Hernandez Gunn, Joe Swinford, Adrian Aiello, Brian Samick, Andrew Ferguson, Brooke Maley, Heather Superdoc, Jennifer Davis from Too Close to Home Pod, Dana Tucker, Cole McAlexander, and Max K. We really appreciate y'all. Y'all take a huge burden off of us. It really helps us out a lot. Dustin, you want to announce your pick for next week and how we're going to be closing out Horror Comedy Month?
Yeah, so like I said, I wanted to pick a theme that would allow me to, number one, I enjoy horror comedies. They're a bitch to take notes on. I'm not going to lie. I apologize, guys. But I wanted to pick a theme that I enjoy that I also could continue my run of picking A24 movies to make Brian watch them until he finds one he loves. I don't know that he's going to love this next one, but I enjoyed the hell out of it. It's fun. I went with 2018's Slice, starring Chance the Rapper and Paul Scheer, who's funny as fuck.
Oh, Jesus, that caught me out off guard.
You're welcome.
Hey, one thing before we get out of here, Nico, let me shout out don'tgoouthere.com. Look, we kind of realized that after all these years, I just realized it, but you can't really search Worth of Shit on the Apple Podcast app where we get most of our listens according to our statistics. And our Believe Network, their website doesn't let you search episodes either. So we did a little code writing, a little flux capacitor fluxing, and we now have added a search feature to each page on our website, the movie reviews and the interviews pages, particularly. And so now it's easy to just pop in there, type in, say, Halloween on the reviews page, have it pull up any movie with Halloween in it, or type in Friday the 13th or Friday in the interview section, get every interview we've done from that franchise, whatever your heart desires there, and stay tuned because Dustin and I have something cooking for another section of the website that we're excited about as well. So don'tgoouthere.com is where you need to be listening.
We're going to add an A24 tab is what he was talking about.
No.
That's not what I was doing. That's not happening.
If they want to sponsor us, we'll do it. But I think
brother.
conclude this episode,
I'll get it tattooed on my body if they want to sponsor.
After what Brian just said about the website, I think this line is perfect way to end this. A podcast is a lot of work, okay? You got to make a Google Calendar. You got to coordinate guests, and it takes a long fucking time. All right, y'all have a good one. Just want to remind everybody.